Welcome back to Old School Sports and our Out of the Park Baseball 24 playthrough of the Buffalo Wings. Before we get started, just want to thank everyone for their patience waiting for this episode. Had a nice little mini vacation / family reunion over the past few days, but we are back at home and back in the saddle with our Buffalo Wings, who hold a 2-0 lead over the San Francisco Giants, the defending World Series champion San Francisco Giants, here in the 2034 National League Championship Series. The Wings were the best team in baseball this past year with a 112-50 record, and thus far the postseason has gone really well. Haven't lost a game yet. Took out the Phillies 3-0. And as I mentioned, we are up 2-0 on the Giants as we get ready for 3 games in San Francisco. The goal here certainly to win at least one of these 3 games in San Francisco, go back home to Buffalo with a lead. In a perfect scenario, we'd go back home to Buffalo having won the series and just awaiting whether we will be facing Toronto or Kansas City in the World Series. But we're not going to be too greedy. If we win 1 game in San Francisco, we will have accomplished our goals for our trip to the left coast. And our Game 3 pitching matchup in this National League Championship Series is going to be Nate Glover on the mound for San Francisco. 29-year-old was 12-10 with a 3.84 ERA this past season. Looks like a good, solid major league pitcher, so he should be a good challenge for our Buffalo Wings to face. On the mound for Buffalo is the 27-year-old Juan Estrada. He was 15-5 with a 3.04 ERA this season. He's also a two-way player. You may remember from our NLCS victory over the Phillies that Juan Estrada was named the MVP of that series. He scored the winning run in Game 2 when he hustled home on a wild pitch. And then in Game 3, he went out and gave us 5 2/3 innings of nicely pitched baseball, worked through a couple jams, even though he did not end up earning the W. As I mentioned, he did end up earning the Most Valuable Player award for that playoff series. So we've got a guy that we like on the mound, but looks like it should be a tough pitching matchup. Probably going to be more similar to Game 1 in a tightly fought game that we won 2-1, as opposed to the 16-3 blowout at home we had 2 days ago when we scored 10 runs in the first inning and never looked back. Clearly would love it if we had another game like that, but not expecting that to be the case here in Game 3. And we, of course, have Deshaun Seifu leading off for us here in the first inning. I just have a good feeling that he's going to do something here to get things started, so we're going to go right into the video of the game action. Some of you have noted in comments to the previous episodes what a good offseason Seifu has had, or a good postseason Seifu has had so far. Hitting .450 with a .522 on-base percentage through our first 5 games. If he's able to continue hitting like that, certainly going to help us hopefully generate even more runs in the coming days. Looks like there's a 2-2 count on Seifu as the action begins. And he struck out to start the game, so not what we were looking for. And of course, as I cut away from the action, Joey Moore, the trade deadline acquisition, the big veteran bat we picked up from the Red Sox, doubled down the right field line. He's in the lineup today because we are going to let Juan Estrada focus on his pitching. So we've got a runner in scoring position with 1 out for last year's National League Rookie of the Year, Mike Heiner. We're not going to send Moore. He's got great speed and he's a great base runner. But Ballesteros from San Francisco does have an excellent arm as a catcher. Perhaps we should have thought about trying to get him into scoring position, but if we're going to do nothing but strike out to make outs, it's not going to matter. Cleanup hitter Shamar Janneret Has 3 home runs and 7 runs driven in through the first 5 games of the playoffs. Would love a big blow here, but instead the side ends up striking out. We thought could be a tough pitching matchup for us today. Looks like, based on returns from the first inning, that may be accurate. So hopefully Juan Estrada will give us another good game on the mound. And unfortunately, it hasn't been a great start for Estrada. He's struck out the 2 batters that he's gotten out, but he's also walked 2 batters, and he just gave up his first hit of the game, an RBI single to Chase Bonaparte. So they've got runners on first and second with 2 outs going against Ballesteros here. Hopefully Estrada can limit the damage to 1 run. And he does. So both pitchers struck out the side in the first inning, quite interestingly, but San Francisco will take a 1-0 lead into the second. And we're off to a good start here in the top of the second. Bobby Bolig just led off, crushing a drive to the right center field gap, ended up with a triple, so we've got a runner on third with no outs. Cam Collier up. Hopefully he can at least get a ball to the outfield to get this run in if he doesn't come through with a hit. Instead, he goes down looking. 4th strikeout now for Glover. That's the only way he's recorded an out in this game. The outfielder Tim Gaglia up now. And he also strikes out, so I would hate to waste a leadoff triple, but we are 1 out away from doing that. The young shortstop Steve Anderson up with the potential for a clutch 2-out hit. And Anderson does come through, so a big hit for the young shortstop ties the game at 1-1. And we'll see what the catcher, Andres Medina, can do here. He's been a bit better of a bat here in the playoffs. Looks like that was a passed ball or a wild pitch. And we've got the runner on to second for Mr. Funky Cold Medina. And he draws a walk, so runners on first and second here in the top of the second. With Seifu up with 2 outs, would love to get a clutch hit from Deshaun Seifu here. He's got 4 extra base hits in the playoffs, 3 doubles and a triple already. This would be a great time for one of them, but instead he strikes out. So through 2 innings, or an inning and a half more accurately, there have been 9 outs recorded, all 9 outs by strikeout. And here in the bottom of the third, Dylan Cruz with 1 out just hit a solo shot for San Francisco to give them a 2-1 lead, their 3rd hit of the day. We're facing the middle of the order with Ed Stone and Xavier Isaac up. We'll see what we can do against those guys. Walked Ed Stone. We're going to go with double play depth and see if we can get Xavier Isaac to get out of this inning. And he gives that one a ride to center field, but tracked down out there, 2 away. Hopefully with Bonaparte up, who had the RBI single in the first, we can get him here. He's had a few big hits against us already in this series, and he comes through with another one. Not going to score a run, but puts runners on the corners with 2 outs. Keeps the inning alive and gives the lefty catcher Ballesteros a chance to come through with a big hit here. Fortunately, Estrada struck him out to get out of the jam, but 1 run across for San Francisco here in the bottom of the third, and the Giants take a 2-1 lead as we head into the 4th. And we'll check back in on the action here in the top of the 4th as we've got something going with Buffalo here. Bolig and Cam Collier back-to-back singles to lead off the innings. So we've got runners on the corners, no outs, and Tim Gaglia up. Gaglia down to first base. Scores the run, so we've tied things up at 2. We've got a runner at second and no outs. Looks like a nice sacrifice hit down to the first base line. So a runner on second for Anderson, who drove in the first run of the game for us. We'll see what the young shortstop can do. He strikes out. That is number 8 for Nate Glover. He's slowed down a bit after striking out the side in each of the first 2 innings, but has added 1 strikeout in the third and now a strikeout in the fourth as well. Andres Medina, the number 9 hitter, up with 2 outs now. And Medina goes down looking. So 9 strikeouts for Glover through the first 4 innings for San Francisco, but the game is tied 2-2 as we head to the bottom of the fourth. And we're headed to the top of the 6th. Game is still tied 2-2. Glover, you can see 11 strikeouts through 5 innings. He is 87 pitches into the game. Our hope is maybe this will be the last inning that we face him because of all those strikeouts. He's been throwing a fair amount of pitches. But if we can get Glover out of this game and get into the San Francisco bullpen and still be tied, that's probably not the worst situation for us. We thought Glover could be a good challenge for us, and he certainly has been thus far today. And we've finally gotten Glover out of the game here with just 1 out in the top of the 6th. Cleanup hitter Shamar Jenneret led off with a single. Glover then did strike out Bobby Bolig for, I believe, his 12th strikeout of the game in 5 1/3 innings. So he was dealing, but they have moved on to the right-handed reliever Miguel Ramos, another guy with excellent stuff. That is a world-class slider that he has, pretty average-ish in terms of his movement and control. 3-5 for the season with 38 saves. So it looks like in a 1.75 ERA. So a pretty effective pitcher. He was their closer. He does have pretty good stamina. Still an interesting move to go to the closer here in the top of the 6th inning. But it is certainly a situation where we've got a runner on base and there's only 1 out. It's a 2-2 game, so they want to do their best to keep things close. But we've got a decent matchup with the left-handed hitting Cam Collier going against the right-handed pitching Miguel Ramos. We'll see if Collier can come through. He cannot. He strikes out. So the 13th strikeout of the day for the Buffalo Wings against San Francisco's strong pitching staff. With 2 outs, Tim Gaglia. Looks like that ball got away, but unfortunately Ballesteros got it under control. Jenneret unable to move on. Gaglia, looks like that's going to be a fly out to left field to end the inning. So the good news is that we've got their starter out of the game. The bad news is we don't get any runs across the plate, and we are tied 2-2 as we head to the bottom of the 6th. And Estrada's thrown 88 pitches. He is kind of heading into the red zone as far as his fatigue. So we are going to make a call to the bullpen as well. We've got 5 of the next 6 batters are going to be right-handed hitters. So we are going to call it a day for Juan Estrada. 5 innings pitched, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, and 6 strikeouts. Not a vintage performance, but he's kept us in the game. Not going to be involved in the decision, but he's not going to get a loss either. So would have to feel like when we are going to our bullpen, we are the team that is kind of has the advantage. And we are going to bring on the right-hander Marco Jimenez, who you may remember we picked up before the trade deadline. Jimenez on board for us, and we'll see if he can get us through the next inning or 2. And in the bottom of the 6th, Jimenez did give up a single to San Francisco, but he also struck out the side. So we're heading to the 7th, still tied 2-2 here in San Francisco. And we're in a bit of a jam here in the bottom of the 7th. Dylan Cruz led off with a single, moved to second on a passed ball, and then he just moved to third on a fly out to center field by the right fielder, Ed Stone. So we've got a runner on third and only 1 out. The cleanup hitter, Xavier Isaac, is at the plate, the left-handed hitter. Jimenez has now thrown 27 pitches through the inning and a third, so we are going to go to the lefty stopper, Lorne Walborn. He's gotten us out of a lot of jams and pitched a lot of innings for us this regular season. And bring him on, and that lets us get their cleanup hitter out of the game. They bring in Jacob Wilson as the pinch hitter. The righty to lefty matchup certainly favors them now, but Walborn is pretty proficient against both left-handed and right-handed hitters. Hopefully he can get us out of this jam. And he strikes him out, which is what we needed there with one out and a runner on third. Now Chase Bonaparte can at least make contact with the ball now, and we can still get an out here with 2 outs. Hopefully Walborn can get the job done here against Bonaparte. Gets the grounder too short, and he gets out of the jam. So 2-2 tie in San Francisco as we head to the top of the 8th inning. And San Francisco has made another call to the bullpen. The left-handed pitcher, Andrew Nardi, incredible relief pitcher. Looks like he actually did come on board and become their closer, so that explains a little more why they brought on the previous pitcher. Nardi's a guy who has regularly been on the trade block, and looks like Cleveland traded him to San Francisco this year, where he actually took over as their closer down the stretch. So that explains why a reliever with 38 saves came in the 6th inning earlier. Certainly going to be tough for us to go up against Nardi, but also not completely sure with that 30 stamina whether he's going to be able to get through the next 2 innings for them, particularly if we get some base runners on board. So it looks like they're trying to get likely 2 innings out of Nardi and hopefully score some runs in the bottom of the 8th, but our goal is to disrupt that plan for the Giants. And unfortunately for us, Nardi struck out the side in the top of the 8th, so a ton of strikeouts today by the Buffalo Wings. We are tied to 2-2 as we head to the bottom of the 8th. Still have Walborn on the mound. We got 2 left-handed hitters potentially coming up this inning in Ballesteros and Colson Montgomery. Hopefully Walborn will get us through this inning cleanly, and we'll see if maybe we can do a little more damage against the left-handed closer in the top of the 9th. Certainly can't do any worse than 3 straight strikeouts. And we got a 3-up, 3-down inning out of Walborn in the bottom of the 8th, so the game is still tied at 2-2 as we head to the 9th. Nardi on the mound, he's thrown 15 pitches. We've got the left-handed hitting Bobby Bolig up. Bolig, as you may remember, is a guy we picked up in a trade 2 years ago at this point. Very proficient against right-handed pitching, very mediocre against left-handed pitching. So we are going to go to the bench, and we're going to go right for the youngster, Arturo Flores. He is making his major league debut here in the playoffs for us. The top, second best prospect in our system, technically. The top prospect who's not at the international complex. Combined for 61 home runs across 4 levels in the minors this year. Came through with a RBI hit for us in his first major league at bat in the playoffs in the NLCS against the Phillies. Certainly would think that with a youngster like Flores, who does have a tendency to strike out despite his prodigious power, that this could be a 4th consecutive strikeout for Nardi. But Flores also gives us a chance to hit the ball out of the park, which in a 2-2 game in the top of the 9th would be a nice accomplishment. He did make contact, but he grounds it down too short for the first out of the inning. Cam Collier now up, and we are going to make another substitution here to bring in a right-handed hitter. We are going to go with Joe Edwards, who will take over at third base for Collier. Another guy who will strike out a good amount, but can also hit the ball out of the park and can also draw a walk with his good eye. And Edwards goes down looking. So 2 outs now, and Tim Gaglia up. Gaglia, a little dribbler down to first, and they do not make the play. So an infield hit for Gaglia with 2 outs. Steve Anderson, the shortstop. Don't love having a left-handed hitter here. We could potentially go to the right-handed hitting Tim Hull. Not quite as good defensively, but he is certainly more proficient against a left-handed pitcher than Steve Anderson is at this point. Not much more so, but he definitely is better. I do feel like we've got Nardi on the ropes a bit. He's thrown 28 pitches, getting close to being fairly well fatigued. Would think this is probably his last batter, one way or the other. Would think they're probably also going to be going back to a right-handed pitcher, and this is potentially a game that could be going long into the extra innings. We are not going to pinch hit here. We're going to keep our better defensive shortstop in the game. And we are going to let Steve Anderson swing away here. And he goes down, strikes out. So another good inning from Nardi. And we will head to the bottom of the 9th now and see if we can keep this game tied. And here in the bottom of the 9th, tied 2-2, we have made a pitching change after we got a nice inning and 2/3 from Walborn. Bryce Miller, our closer, comes into the game, likely going against the right-handed batters, Mooney, Jones, and Cruz. So we'll see how he starts things off against the number 9 hitter, Alex Mooney. Certainly would like to get him out. And Bryce Miller struck him out. Going against Drew Jones now here with 1 out in the bottom of the 9th. Grounder down to Edwards at third. He makes the play for the 2nd out of the inning. And 2 outs now going against the always dangerous Dylan Cruz. And Cruz comes through again. Looks like that could be an extra base hit. So things getting interesting here with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th. Big hit for Cruz. And now the number 3 hitter, Ed Stone, up with an opportunity to end it here with a hit. Hits it out to right field, and it is a single, and it is a game-winning single for the San Francisco Giants. So the Giants walk off our Buffalo Wings here 3-2 in Game 3 in San Francisco. And it is now a series once again. The home team still has not lost in this series. Buffalo will take a 2-1 series lead into Game 4 tomorrow. And we felt like this Game 3 probably was going to be a pitcher's duel, and that certainly ended up being the case. 3-2 walk-off victory for the Giants, as we just talked about. Certainly not optimal for our closer, Bryce Miller, to blow things for us in the bottom of the 9th, but a lot of reasons we lost this one. First and foremost, 19 strikeouts by the San Francisco pitchers against us, 3 each by our 1, 2, and 3 hitters, Seifu, Moore, and Heiner. So just was not the day for us to generate a lot of offense, unfortunately. 12 strikeouts from Glover, 2 from Ramos, and 5 from Nardi for the Giants. Hopefully after going 2 full innings yesterday, we won't be seeing Mr. Nardi today, because he was certainly a challenge for us. And as we get ready here for Game 4, Jorge Carrillo finally going to be making his playoff debut for this 2034 season. Despite his league-leading 21 wins, he's our fourth starter, 21-2 record with a 2.64 ERA. Certainly have big expectations for the right-hander here in Game 4. And we are going to be going up against Rob Britt, right-hander for the Giants, who was 15-7 with a 3.10 ERA, extreme ground ball tendencies, excellent movement on his pitches, gave up just 4 home runs this year in 183 innings pitched. Some of that is Oracle Park and its difficulty for batters to hit home runs there. And some of it is clearly Rob Britt and the tendencies that he has as far as his pitching rating. So looks like it could be another pitcher's duel today with runs a bit hard to come by. Hopefully Buffalo will come out on top in this one. And the Giants already making things tough on us here after we had 3 up, 3 down in the top of the first. The Giants on us early. Drew Jones had a leadoff single. He stole second base, and then Xavier Isaac just had a RBI double. So no outs here in the inning, and we are already down 1-0. And Cruz is coming up, and he was dangerous yesterday with the home run as well as the game-winning RBI in the bottom of the 9th. We'll go ahead and pitch to Dylan Cruz here, and Carrillo did get the strikeout. Hopefully he will settle down in his first postseason start ever. And Carrillo did bounce back to strike out the side, so a 1-0 lead for San Francisco as we head to the top of the second. And both pitchers had settled in pretty nicely. But we are now here in the top of the 4th, and we've got a little bit of a 2-out rally going against Rob Britt here. He's allowed back-to-back walks to Shamar Jenneret and Bobby Bolig. So Cam Collier with runners on first and second and 2 outs. Chance for a clutch hit. We do only have the 1 hit today, though, thus far. And going to remain just 1 hit for us through the first 4 innings as Collier goes down on strikes. And Carrillo finds himself in a bit of a 2-out jam here. We've already allowed 1 more run across and just had a passed ball or wild pitch to allow runners to move to second and third with 2 outs. Carrillo going up against the right-handed batter Alex Mooney. Need to limit the damage here, and looks like we did get a grounder to third to get out of the inning. So another run across for San Francisco. 1 run on 1 hit, 2 runners left on for the Giants, and the Giants now have a 2-0 lead as we head to the 5th. And San Francisco still has a 2-0 lead as we go to the top of the 6th. Rob Britt has thrown 74 pitches, so he could still be on the mound for another inning or 2 if things go well for him. We've got our 2, 3, and 4 hitters up with Estrada, Heiner, and Jenneret. 4 of the 5 next batters are expected to be left-handers, so our hope is we can start stringing something together against Britt as perhaps he starts to lose it a little bit. And we've got a little bit brewing here right now. Estrada walked to start the inning. Heiner then made an out, but Shamar Jenneret just singled off of reliever Miguel Ramos, so they brought in the former closer again in the 6th inning for a 2nd straight day. So runners on first and second for Bobby Bolig, who is very tough against right-handed pitching. We haven't generated much offense the first game and a half here in San Francisco. This seems like an opportunity for us to maybe get something going. And Bolig drives it into the gap. That is going to score a run, a double for Bolig. So runners on second and third with 1 out. So things are brewing here for our Buffalo Wings. Cam Collier, the 3rd baseman, up now with runners on second and third. Opportunity to tie things up. and he walks to load the bases. So Ramos does not seem to be quite as sharp today as he was yesterday. Got Tim Gaglia up, the young center fielder, hitting .320 in the playoffs with just one ribby. This is certainly an opportunity for another run batted in. At the very least, we're looking for a sac fly here. And instead, he grounds out to a force out. So the bases are still loaded, but they got the lead runner at the plate. Heads up play by their shortstop. Jenneret, who doesn't have a ton of speed, is out at the plate. They have brought on the left-handed pitching Matthew Liberatore. We've got the shortstop Steve Anderson. We are going to go for a pinch hitter here, even though could weaken our defense a bit. Don't know if we're going to have another opportunity like this. And Hull was our starting shortstop most of the year. He's not quite as good as Anderson, but he's still a solid defensive shortstop. But we are going to put the pressure back on the rookie, Arturo Flores. Going to get the pinch hit at bat here with the bases loaded against the left-handed pitcher, Liberatore. Flores, as we talked about earlier in the episode, a monster season across 4 levels of the minors. And he is very tough against left-handed pitching. So with 2 outs here in the top of the 6th and the bases loaded, Arturo Flores going to pinch hit for starting shortstop Steve Anderson and see if maybe we can catch some lightning in a bottle here for the Buffalo Wings. And he uses his skills to at least draw the walk. Ties the game at 2-2. A bases-loaded walk allowed by Liberatore. Andres Medina up now, hitting .300 in the playoffs with a homer and 4 ribbies. Don't love the matchup here, even though we have a right-handed batter against the left-handed pitcher. There are better hitters that we could have, but that would require the less solid defensive Rutschman behind the plate for the rest of the game. And given that we have at least tied things up here, we want to try to keep our defense as strong as possible. So hopefully Medina, the number 9 hitter, can come through with something here in the top of the 6th. And he strikes out, which he often does. But 2 runs for Buffalo here in the top of the 6th. We've got the game tied up again. We will likely be making a call to the bullpen here as we go to the bottom of the 6th. As we talked about, we're going to substitute Hull in at shortstop to complete our lineup here. And Carrillo's given us 5 innings, thrown 83 pitches. We do have lefties coming up for 2 out of the next 3 batters. Carrillo has been okay today. He hasn't been great. We've got a big-time bullpen, and I think my inclination is to go make a move here, and we are going to bring in Juan Veliz, who is pretty tough on left-handers, guy that we picked up before the trade deadline. They make the move to go to Jacob Wilson. So we'll see what Veliz can do against the good right-handed hitter Wilson. And he struck him out. Now the always dangerous Chase Bonaparte up here in the bottom of the 6th against Veliz. And Bonaparte gives that one a ride to left field. Going to be a stand-up double. I guess he's not going to make it a stand-up double, but a double for Bonaparte. And now we've got the lefty in Ballesteros, the first lefty that we expected. We thought Veliz might be facing 2 lefties. He strikes out Bonaparte here, so a runner on second with 2 outs. Can he get Balcazar to get out of the inning? And we are going to continue mixing and matching our bullpen. We are going to go to the right-hander, Yohane Varejo, very tough on right-handed hitters. See if we can keep things tied here with the runner in scoring position and 2 outs. Want to give ourselves the most favorable matchup we possibly can. And it does not work out. Gives up a single. So runners on the corners now with 2 outs. And Alex Mooney up. We are not going to hold Balcazar. See if Varejo can get out of this. And a brutal wild pitch allows the go-ahead run to score. So Varejo has not done the job that we would have hoped. He does finally coax a grounder here to get out of the inning, but San Francisco takes the lead right back on us here in the bottom of the 6th, 3-2, and it's been another pretty well-pitched game, although this last inning there's been some runs scored, but we are having a tough time scoring here in California. And Deshaun Seifu just led off the top of the 7th here with a single for us, which is good. Ziegler also was hurt on the pitch. Ziegler in to relieve. Liberatore, the left-handed pitcher, was hurt on the pitch. So Calvin Ziegler, right-handed reliever, going to be coming in for the Giants here. Juan Estrada up, Seifu on first. We are going to try a hit and run here. Pops it back. We are going to have Seifu running here against Estrada. Oh my God. Not against Estrada, but quite honestly, we've been scared of running against Ballesteros with that gun for an arm, and we are not doing a good job managing these situations, so we may have just run ourselves out of a potential inning here, although it looks like that was a potential double play ball from Estrada. So quickly 2 outs here in the top of the 7th. Heiner up against Ziegler. And last year's Rookie of the Year dumps a single into left field. Shamar Jenneret now up with a big at-bat for our cleanup hitter. Would certainly love him to go yard right here. That's what we pay him to do. Instead, he grounds it down to third, and another inning wasted by the Buffalo Wings. And we're making another call to the bullpen here for the bottom of the 7th. The left-hander Matthew Wenzel. Expect to see 2 left-handed hitters in Colson Montgomery and Xavier Isaac. So hopefully we'll get a good performance out of Wenzel, and we can try to scratch back a couple of runs here in the 8th and 9th innings to hopefully get a victory here in Game 4 rather than letting this series get tied up 2-2. And we are going to continue emptying out our bullpen here. We've got 3 right-handed batters scheduled in a row now. Wenzel has gotten 2 outs, but Drew Jones is on at first base, facing the dangerous right-handed hitting Dylan Cruz, who is definitely a guy who can take the ball out of the ballpark. So we are going to go to the right-hander Andrew Painter here. Come into the game. Hopefully he can get the final out here in the bottom of the 7th inning against Cruz. And he struck him out. So get out of the 7th inning. San Francisco with a 3-2 lead as we head to the 8th. Time for Buffalo to start getting some runs here. Time for me to stop running us out of innings against their tough defensive catcher with that rifle for an arm. And the Giants have gone to the lefty Andrew Nardi, so he is coming in for a 2nd consecutive day. They're hopefully, I'm sure, expecting for him to get 6 outs again for another 2-inning save in back-to-back days. We are going to go to our bench with Bolig, who, as we've talked about, struggles against left-handed pitching. And we are going to pinch hit for Bobby Bolig with Joey Moore. So hopefully get a right-handed bat at least against Nardi to give us a decent matchup here to start off the top of the 8th inning. And still a strikeout for Nardi. Going to make another move here for the left-handed batter, Cam Collier. Going to give Joe Edwards an at-bat, and he will take over for us at third base. Just trying to play the percentages as much as possible against a excellent pitcher in Nardi, and he strikes out another batter. So couldn't have gone any worse if the two left-handers had been up, even if they both struck out. Tim Gaglia up now with 2 outs, and he at least made contact, and he dribbled a little single there up the middle. So got a runner on base with 2 outs, and Tim Hull, the right-handed hitting shortstop, who's in the game now, so a more favorable matchup for us than if we still had the left-handed hitting Anderson in the game. Hull is pretty good at avoiding strikeouts, so we are going to try to do a hit and run here. Fouls the ball back. We'll go with a hit and run again. And he hit it all right, but a pop up to right field to end the inning. So we are potentially 3 outs away from falling into a 2-2 tie in this series after taking a 2-0 lead into San Francisco. And Andrew Painter is in a bit of a jam here in the bottom of the 8th. Runners on second and third with 2 outs. Just gave up a single to Leonardo Balcazar, but the ball got by center fielder Tim Gaglia, which allowed Balcazar to head to second and Ed Stone to head to third. So we're going up against Alex Mooney here with 2 outs, 2 runners in scoring position in the bottom of the 8th, and certainly need Painter to get us out of this jam to keep the deficit to 1. And it looks like he got a grounder to short to finish off the inning. So we will head to the top of the 9th, down 2-1. Or more accurately, we'll head to the top of the 9th, down 3-2. I don't know why I said we were down 2-1. New pitcher for the Giants, the right-handed pitcher Alexis Diaz. Split the year between Boston and San Francisco. Looks like he was a pretty solid reliever out of the pen for them. Certainly not the ideal closer, but he only needs to get 3 outs. We've got Medina, the number 9 hitter, our catcher, up, followed by Seifu and Estrada. If anyone gets on base, we've got Heiner up. We don't have a great option on the bench for Medina. I'm not going to pinch hit Rutschman for him. And Tyreek Hardage is not exceptional against right-handed hitting, right-handed pitchers. So we are going to go with Medina, who can definitely hit the ball out of the yard. Let's see if he can get things started for us here. He's also a guy who can definitely strike out. And he does strike out, so we are down to our final 2 outs. Seifu here with an out. Would love the veteran to get on base here. And Seifu grounds it down to third. Can't beat it out, so 2 away. And Juan Estrada, the left-handed batter, 2-way player, is potentially our last chance. And he lines it out to first to end the game. So a second straight 1-run loss here in San Francisco for the Buffalo Wings. The Giants have tied this series 2 games apiece, and we've gotten 2 straight pitching duels, which is kind of what we were expecting. Unfortunately, we're hoping we might be able to win one of them, but not to be the case. Veliz took the loss for us. Liberatore with the win in relief. Both teams emptied out their bullpens. Every pitch mattered in this one. Liberatore day-to-day with a sore back for 4 days, so that could be a small benefit for us to have good left-handed pitcher out of the bullpen for them for a couple of days, or at least not as effective as he might have been. So Game 5 tomorrow in San Francisco. We had said our goal was to get at least one here in San Francisco, and we're going to have to do it the hard way after losing the first two 3-2 losses. So there have been 3 one-run games, pitcher duels in the series, and then we did have the big blowout in Game 2 in Buffalo in our favor. But another matchup between Sincere Shazier and Paul Skeens, who only combined for starting in a, boy, I am saying this in an awkward fashion. In Game 1, when Shazier and Skeens were on the mound, only 3 runs scored in that game, which was the least of any game in this series. So with the best pitching staff and the second best pitching staff in the National League going here again in Game 5 in a ballpark that is hard to hit home runs in and hard to score a ton of runs in, tend to think it's going to be another low-scoring game, and we're going to have to see if we can finally be on the right side of the scoreboard in San Francisco. And as I mentioned, Sincere Shazier 2-0 with a 2.45 ERA in the playoffs, going up against Paul Skeens 0-1, but with a glittering 1.29 ERA. This is a huge game. Hard to imagine that the winner of this game won't go on to win the World Series. If we win it, we are up 3-2 heading back home. If they win it, they take a 3-2 lead, and they've beaten us 3 games in a row. And it's a big one. We'll see if our ace, Sincere Shazier, can give us another good postseason performance when we need it the most, and hopefully our bats will wake up a bit against Skeens. He's definitely a guy who, with his extreme fly ball tendencies and a below-average movement on his pitches, they can give up some home runs. He gave up a league-best 40, or a league-worst, more accurately, 40 for Cincinnati last year. This year gave up 8 and 67 and 2/3 innings in San Francisco. Certainly that ballpark will work in his favor, but hopefully we can get our bats going, because we've hit home runs in only one game in this series, and we had a bunch of them, obviously, in Game 2 in Buffalo. But would be nice if our big bats wake up against Mr. Skeens today in Game 5. And if we're going to get a home run, this would be a good time for us to get one. Seifu and Estrada made flied out to left and center for the first 2 outs of the game, but Mike Heiner just hit a double, so we got a runner on second. Cleanup hitter Shamar Jenneret up. As we've talked about, he's hit 3 home runs in the playoffs thus far. Would love him to go yard here. Looks like a pop-up to the infield, though, to end the inning. And we got a 1-2-3 inning out of Sincere Shazier in the bottom of the first, including a couple of strikeouts. So the game is tied at 0 as we head to the second inning. And we've got a home run, but unfortunately it's in the bottom of the second for San Francisco. So once again, we are down early in San Francisco. Chase Bonaparte just drilled one to left field off of Sincere Shazier, the previous batter. Mike Tessier had reached on an infield single. So once again, we are down 2-0. Buffalo team's got to start scoring some runs. We've gotten solid pitching over all these first 2 games in San Francisco. I don't have any doubt that when all is said and done, we're going to get a nice performance out of Shazier today. But got to get out of this inning and got to start scoring some runs. And Shazier did recover to get the next 3 batters, including a couple of strikeouts, but we are still down 2-0 as we head to the top of the third here in San Francisco. And we've got our leadoff hitter on here in the top of the fourth, down 2-0. Juan Estrada just doubled down the second base line. So we've got our 3, 4, and 5 hitters, Heiner, Jenneret, and Bolig up with a runner in scoring position and no outs potentially. So seems like this could be an opportunity for us to finally score some runs. We'll see what last year's Rookie of the Year Heiner can do. He grounds out to short for the second out of the inning, does move Estrada over to third. So fly ball to the outfield from Jenneret at the very least means we hopefully score our first run of the game. And Jenneret gives it a ride. Looks like it's a fly out to left field. Estrada tags up, and we do at least get a run in. Bolig now up with 2 outs. We'll still show the at-bat because Bolig against right-handing pitching, always a threat to go yard. Not to be the case today, though, as he strikes out. But Buffalo does get a run back here in the top of the fourth, down 2-1 as we head to the bottom of the fourth in San Francisco. And we are headed into the 7th inning now. San Francisco still hanging on to a 2-1 lead. Both starting pitchers, Skeens and Sincere Shazier, are still in the game. See if we can get something going here. We've got Heiner, Jenneret, and Bolig, our 3, 4, and 5 hitters up against Skeens. He's only thrown 68 pitches. Not too tired yet. He's had his way with us today, but 3, 4, and 5 guys coming up. Let's see how the action goes here in the top of the 7th. Heiner gives that one a ride, and he deposits it in center field. So Mike Heiner ties it up 2-2 here in the top of the 7th. Finally got another home run for last year's Rookie of the Year. Young 2-time All-Star Mike Heiner comes through with the 3rd hit of the day for us. Skeens still on the mound. Cleanup hitter Jenneret up now. And Jenneret goes down looking. Bolig up here with 1 out in the top of the 7th. And Bolig also strikes out. Strikeout number 4 for Skeens. Cam Collier, the left-handed hitter, now up against Skeens as well with 2 outs. Collier hits it down to third for the out, handled unassisted, and that is the end. We head to the 7th inning stretch here in San Francisco. Did get a run back on the solo homer from Mike Heiner, so it's San Francisco 2 and Buffalo 2 as we head to the bottom of the 7th. And after getting the first 2 outs of the inning, Sincere Shazier just gave up a 2-out triple to Alex Mooney, so that's the go-ahead run on third base. The left-handed hitter, Colson Montgomery, is up. Shazier is 82 pitches into the game, just gave up the triple. We're going to try to get the lefty-on-lefty matchup, although they may certainly end up pinch hitting for Colson after we make the change. But we are going to go to Lauren Walborn, our stopper. Even if they switch to a right-handed hitter, which they do, feel hopefully confident that a fresh Walborn who did not pitch yesterday can get us out of this jam. We're going to have him go after Jacob Wilson here, try to keep the games tied as we go into the 8th, hopefully. And he gets the grounder down to third, gets out of the inning. Walborn gets us out of the situation, so no opportunity for the W for Shazier, but as I talked about earlier, kind of figured he would settle down, and our ace did. Ended up giving up 2 runs over 6 2/3 innings, 5 hits. And we now head to the top of the 8th, tied 2-2. Seems like all of these games in San Francisco have been very close as we head into the late innings, and they've had the advantage on us in the first 2. Hopefully we can break through with at least a run here in the top of the 8th to put a little bit of pressure on the Giants and maybe a little bit of doubt in their minds that they're going to be able to score off of us with a little pressure on them. So would love to get a run here. We've got the bottom of the order coming up with Gaglia, Anderson, and Medina. No guarantees that it's not going to be a 3-up, 3-down inning, but hopefully we can get some runners on. And we did go 3 up, 3 down in the bottom of the 8th. If we're able to hold them, I guess the only silver lining there is that we'll have the top of the order up with Seifu, Estrada, and Heiner for us in the top of the 9th. The hope is clearly that Walborn can return the favor to the Giants and give us a 3 up, 3 down inning here. And Drew Jones just led off the inning with a single, but he tried to steal, and Andres Medina gunned him down at second base. So although we didn't pitch hit for Medina last inning, does have a better arm at this point than Adley Rutschman, so hopefully that helped make the play to erase the leadoff batter for the Giants here. 1 out here in the bottom of the 8th. And Walburn in a bit of a jam here with 2 outs. He's got runners on first and second. The dangerous Chase Bonaparte hitting .323 in these playoffs up. Just need 1 out. We've got confidence in our stopper, and he gets the grounder to third. So it's 2-2 as we head to the top of the 9th, and we will have the 1, 2, and 3 hitters up for Buffalo. And if we're able to score a run here in the top of the 9th, we might be able to steal this one. San Francisco's out hit us 8-3 today, but the game is knotted at 2. We've got the top of the order up with Seifu. Let's see if maybe he can get things started here for us. Grounds out to first for the first out of the inning, unfortunately. So Juan Estrada up with 1 out. And Estrada draws a walk. So Mike Heiner, who had the big home run to tie it his last time up, now up with a runner on first here, 1 out in the top of the 9th. Heiner drives it to right, but yeah, that is going to fall through for a single. Thought it was going to be caught, but we've got runners on first and second now with 1 out. And Shamar Jenneret up against Ziegler. This would be a nice time for Jenneret, whose batting average is down to 200 in the playoffs, to come through with a big hit for us. You'll remember he is the reigning American League MVP, who we signed to a massive contract this offseason, expecting him to give us the home run bat that we were lacking last year. He did end up leading the league in runs batted in, was up there in the National League in home runs. This would be a perfect time for Jenneret to make some postseason magic for us. And he gives it a ride to left field, but not quite enough. Runners aren't even able to advance. So 2 away. And Bobby Bolig, who is very dangerous against right-handed pitchers, up with 2 outs in the top of the 9th. If I was the San Francisco manager, I would have went to a left-handed pitcher here with Bolig and Collier coming up. They are going to keep Ziegler on the mound. I am first guessing them. Let's see if Bolig can make them pay. Bolig grounds it down to first. Looks like, I can't tell whether that was a hit or an error, but comes through trying to get the second run to score. And a double for Bobby Bolig down the first base line to give Buffalo a 4-2 lead here in the top of the 9th inning. So Bolig comes through with a huge hit. Cam Collier now up with a runner on second. Bolig on second base, obviously, after the double. See if Collier can give us an insurance run. Instead, he goes down swinging. But Buffalo finally breaks through here with 2 runs in the top of the 9th to take a 4-2 lead. We are 3 outs away from potentially going back to Buffalo with the lead in this series, which was our goal when we got out here to San Francisco. And Walborn's only thrown 16 pitches. We've got the left-handed hitting catcher Moises Ballesteros leading out, so hopefully can get at least 1 more out of Walborn here before potentially going to another reliever. And Ballesteros pops it out to left field for the first out of the inning. And with 3 or potentially 6 straight right-handed batters coming up, certainly don't want to be facing any more than 2 of them. We are going to make a call to the bullpen now. We're also putting Tyreek Hardage into left field with a better defense. Probably should have done that before the start of the inning, quite honestly, but was not thinking straight. We got the lead back so quickly. Not that that's an excuse. But we are going to go back to the closer. Bryce Miller blew the game for us a couple days ago. Going to give him an opportunity to get back up on the horse here, facing the number 7 and 8 hitters, and hopefully that is all he will have to face. So Bryce Miller going up against Leonardo Balcazar here with 1 out in the bottom of the 9th. And he coaxes the grounder to short for the 2nd out of the inning. So we are 1 out away now. Bryce Miller going after Alex Mooney here in the bottom of the 9th. And Mooney hits it to third. Beautiful diving play by Cam Collier and a comeback victory. Buffalo is down 2-0 in this one. Tied it up with runs in the 4th and the 7th. And then the big double by Bobby Bolig in the top of the 9th gives Buffalo the margin. And we will be taking a 3-2 lead back to San Francisco. So certainly feeling a lot better about things now than we were before this game. Shazier ended up settling in and having a good, solid performance. Paul Skeens obviously did as well. We were probably in a bit of a fortunate situation where they had emptied out their bullpen and used their big arms so often in each of the first 2 games in San Francisco that they were stuck trying to get 2 innings out of Calvin Ziegler. And fortunately, although he did give them 2 innings of pitching, he also gave them 2 runs on that hit by Bolig. Miller, interestingly, with a 6-2 record now for Buffalo in the playoffs. The first save of the playoffs for our closer for Miller. Walborn gets the W in relief. And we are headed back to Buffalo with a 3-2 lead in this National League Championship Series. And we are back in Buffalo, and we are potentially 1 game away from a first trip to the World Series for this Buffalo Wings franchise. And if we are fortunate enough to get there, there will not be a lot of difficult travel involved because the Toronto Blue Jays have taken out the Kansas City Royals 4-1 in the American League Championship Series. So Toronto is waiting Buffalo or San Francisco. Game 6 is going to be a rematch of Game 2, which was the only blowout in the series. 16-3 Buffalo victory. We scored 10 runs in the first inning off of Javier Tovar. We've got our co-ace Alexis Barajas on the mound. Would certainly love to have a game like we had in Game 2 and not have a nail-biter in the late innings, which there have been in every other game in this series. 3 one-run games and then a 2-run game that wasn't settled until those runs were scored in the top of the 9th in Game 5. So been a lot of tight action here in the National League Championship Series. We would love to have another laugher today and not have to go to a Game 7. Tovar, the movement on his pitches and those extreme fly ball tendencies were a problem for him in Game 2 in Buffalo. Gave up 17 homers and 156 2/3 innings for the Giants this year. We, of course, hit 5 against the Giants in Game 2. And hopefully we can score early and often against Mr. Tovar as well as we try to finally guide this Buffalo Wings team into a World Series. And we did get a 3-up, 3-down inning out of Barajas in the top of the first. Seifu grounded out to the catcher to start things off for us in the bottom of the first, but Juan Estrada just hit a 1-out triple. So we've got a runner on third. And 1 out. Would certainly love to get some runs on board here in the bottom of the first and start putting some pressure on the Giants. Unfortunately, Heiner strikes out. So 2 away here. Another opportunity for Jenneret, whose batting average has dipped below 200 in the playoffs. And Jenneret gives it a ride, but not quite enough. Flies out to left field to end the inning. So at the end of 1 here in Game 6 in Buffalo, we are tied at 0. And we've got a little bit going here in the bottom of the second. Bobby Bolig singled, and the young center fielder Tim Gaglia, who's been a pretty productive hitter, hitting .323 in the playoffs, although he has only driven in 1 run, came through with another single. So runners on first and second and 1 out. The left-handed hitting shortstop Steve Anderson up here with an opportunity to get a run going for us. And looks like he has popped it up to second base. So that is going to be the second out of the inning. And now we are down to Andres Medina hitting .240 with a homer and 4 ribbies in these playoffs. A lot of strikeouts as well. See what our catcher can do in a 2-out at-bat. And Medina draws a walk. So bases loaded here in the bottom of the 3rd inning, and we probably have the guy that we'd love to have up in a situation where we just need a hit. Deshaun Seifu, the batting average has dipped to .294 in the playoffs, but opportunity for Seifu to drive in a run or probably a couple of runs here in the bottom of the second. Bases loaded, 2 outs, Seifu at the plate. And Seifu comes through with a RBI single. 2 runs across, runners on first and third for Buffalo. So we've gotten some early runs here to put some pressure on San Francisco. Not quite the 10-run outburst we had against them when Tovar was on the mound to start in game number 2 of the series. But we do have 2 runs across. Medina now on third, Seifu on first, and Juan Estrada, another pretty good contact hitter, hitting .318 in this postseason with an opportunity to come through in the clutch. Unfortunately, Estrada goes down swinging, but 2 runs on 3 hits for Buffalo as we take a 2-0 lead into the 3rd inning. And Xavier Isaac just drilled a 2-run home run with 2 outs for San Francisco. So San Francisco comes right back against our ace Barajas, tied things up at 2-2. See if Barajas can get Dylan Cruz out to at least keep the damage to 2 runs. And looks like Cruz gave that one a ride to center field, but not quite enough. So it was a monster shot that looked like it might go foul. Unfortunately for us, it did not. And the Giants have come back to tie things 2-2 as we head to the bottom of the 3rd here in Buffalo. And Cam Collier just drilled one off the wall, a 2-out hit. We had Jenneret on base. He had singled earlier, so we've taken the lead back. A big 1-run triple by Cam Collier. So Jenneret had finally come up with a hit for us to get the base runner on, and a huge hit by Collier to give the lead back to Buffalo. See if Gaglia, who we talked about earlier, has been pretty productive in terms of his batting average, but only 1 ribby in these playoffs. Can he come through with a clutch 2-out hit for us here? And looks like he will fly out to left to end the inning. But Buffalo does get a run back off of Tovar, and we'll be taking a 3-2 lead into the 4th. Hopefully we can get a couple of clean innings from Barajas here before turning this game potentially down over to the bullpen. And not to be the case, Tessier just led off, drilled another ball down the right field line, very similar to the home run the previous inning. So San Francisco has been pretty good at striking right back against us in this game when we have scored runs to take the lead. Hopefully Barajas will settle down, but don't love 2 shots to right field among the last several batters that he's faced. And we've got a big decision to make here. Seifu hit a 2-out single, and then Juan Estrada just drilled the ball down the right field line. The ball is deep. Seifu's a fantastic runner, and Cruz has a normal arm. We are going to try to put the pressure on the defense and send Seifu home. And it looks like we made the out. So that is an unfortunate decision by our part. Ran ourselves out of another inning potentially, although with 2 outs there were no guarantees. But disappointing situation. It is 3-3 as we head to the top of the 5th. And here in the bottom of the 5th, Mike Heiner just drilled a home run to right field. Second home run in the postseason for the young outfielder / first baseman, and that gives Buffalo a 4-3 lead here. Still no outs in the top of the 4th as he was the leadoff hitter. We've got Jenneret, Bolig, and Collier coming up. They have made the move to the bullpen to Alexis Diaz. We're going to play things out here, see if maybe we'll score a few more runs here. Jenneret singles, so second straight hit for Jenneret. Another single to right field the opposite way. Runner on first with Bobby Bolig up against Alexis Diaz. Still nobody out here. And that ball gets away from the catcher, so Jenneret is going to move into scoring position at second base. See what Bolig can do here. And Bolig gives that one a ride over the right fielder's head, so another run is going to score, and Bolig is going to try to turn it into a triple. Slides in with a triple, so big inning potentially brewing here in the bottom of the 5th for Buffalo. We've done well with Alexis Diaz in the past. 2 runs across here now, and still nobody out. Cam Collier up with a runner on third. And it looks like Collier goes down looking there for... I don't know what was going on there. Not really sure what went on there. He took a pitch for a strike. I thought I had said swing away, but maybe I clicked on take pitch by mistake. Oh, I apparently may have switched to pitch-by-pitch mode. Guess I clicked on that by mistake. Was trying to figure out what's going on here. Cam Collier up, swinging away here. And Collier draws the walk. So Alexis Diaz is definitely struggling here. Runners on first and second. Still nobody out here in the bottom of the 5th. See if Tim Gaglia, who we've talked about, .312 average, but only 1 ribby. Another opportunity for him to come through, the rookie, in a big situation. And instead, Gaglia grounds it to second. The run does come in. So a 3rd run in the inning, but 1 away now. Collier is on second with 1 out. Steve Anderson up. Certainly would love to get a few more runs here. Feel better about the game. And the young... shortstop knocks it deep out to the outfield, but not quite far enough. Running catch by Drew Jones in center field for the 2nd out of the inning. So 2 outs now and a runner in scoring position for our catcher, Andres Medina. And Medina goes yard. So the young catcher comes through with a big 2-out home run to hopefully break things open for these Buffalo Wings. Big blast by Andres Medina, 401 feet. And the Buffalo Wings are now up 8-3 here in the bottom of the 5th. New reliever Chris Persinger on for the Giants. We'll see what Seifu can do against him. And Seifu gives that one a ride to center field, what looks like an easy play out there for Drew Jones. And the inning is over, but a nice crooked number for the Buffalo Wings with 5 runs here in the bottom of the 5th, take an 8-3 lead into the 6th inning. Barajas at this point hasn't had a great outing. 93 pitches, 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, a walk, 4 strikeouts. The 2 home runs have really hurt him. Has not been a vintage outing from him, but he's done the job. And with a 5-run lead, we are going to finish up Barajas Day for him. And we are going to go to the lefty Juan Veliz, which will likely result in them going to a pinch hitter. No, actually not. They're going to let Tessier bat against the left-handed pitching Veliz. We'll go through that at bat, and if he gets him out, probably spare you the play-by-play. And he looks like that is a fly out to left field, so if anything interesting happens, we will let you know. Otherwise, we'll be back when things get interesting. And honestly, at this point, we hope that things won't get interesting with a 5-run lead. And we did get a 1-2-3 inning out of Veliz, so we head to the bottom of the 6th with an 8-3 lead in Buffalo, and we are 9 outs away now from first trip to the World Series for the Buffalo Wings franchise. And as we head to the top of the 7th with that 8-3 lead, got a couple right-handed batters coming up, so we are going to continue perhaps overthinking things, but we are going to bring on Yohani Varejo, the right-hander, see if he can perhaps get us another 3 outs to get closer to that potential trip to the World Series. And we're going to go to the bullpen again here in the top of the 7th. Varejo allowed the first 2 hitters, Balcazar and Mooney, to both get on base. Since then, he's gotten a strikeout and a pop-out to get 2 outs, but still runners on first and second. The left-handed hitting Xavier Isaac coming up. So we are going to go to the lefty stopper, Lorne Walborn. And hopefully Mr. Walborn will get us out of this inning and this potential jam right here. And unfortunately, big drive out there, but Tim Gaglia makes a diving catch in center field. Looked like that could have been a double to the gap, but the good defense of the young outfielder Gaglia gets us out of the jam. And it is now an 8-3 lead for Buffalo as we head to the 7th inning stretch, and Buffalo is potentially 6 outs away from a trip to the World Series. And we head to the top of the 8th, still holding on to an 8-3 lead. Going to see if we can get an inning out of Walborn here against Cruz, Tessier, and Bonaparte, the 3, 4, and 5 hitters for San Francisco. If we can get through these 3 guys without allowing any runs, we'll feel pretty good if we can take a at least 5-run lead into the top of the 9th. But we'll see how Walborn can do against this difficult part of the order. And it looks like it's going to be a leadoff single for Dylan Cruz, so they're going to put the pressure on us. Ed Stone up now, put the infield back at double play depth, see if perhaps we can get a double play ball. Walborn struck out the right-handed hitter. Chase Bonaparte now up. Runner still on second. We are going to still try to see if maybe we can get 1 pitch and get out of the inning with a double play ball. Got a unassisted play at first base for Heiner, so 2 away now to face the left-handed batting Ballesteros. Hopefully Walborn can get him out. Grounds it down to Seifu, over to Heiner, and we are out of the inning. So Buffalo Wings now potentially only 3 outs away from a trip to the World Series. And in the bottom of the 8th, we wasted a leadoff single by Andres Medina. Seifu grounded into a double play, and then Estrada made an out. So we are going to go to the bullpen. 8-3 lead here. And we are going to not mess around. We're going to go right to our closer. Bryce Miller hopefully can get the 3 outs for us. We're also going to make some changes to tighten up our defense here as we try to get Buffalo the final 3 outs they need to get into the World Series. And we made a few moves to hopefully tighten up our defense here for the final, hopefully, inning of the NLCS. Put Tyreek Hardage into right for Juan Estrada, and we moved Seifu to third base for Joe Edwards, who had pinch hit for Cam Collier, and then we brought in Tim Hull to tighten up our defense as second base as well. So few changes. Hopefully Bryce Miller can get the 3 outs that we need to send this Buffalo team to the World Series. Starting off against the second baseman Balcazar, and he grounds it down to short, 1 away. Alex Mooney up with 1 out. The shortstop grounds it to short. Second straight play, 6-3 for another out. And the left-handed batter, Colson Montgomery, the third baseman, could be the final batter of the season for the San Francisco Giants. And he will not be, though, because he drives onto the gap in the left center field. Going to be a stand-up double for Colson Montgomery. So a runner in scoring position now. Drew Jones up. We're just going to see if we can get this final out that we need. Grounder to Seifu, 4-3, and the Buffalo Wings have ended the reign of the San Francisco Giants as world champions, and the Buffalo Wings are now going to have an opportunity to finally go to a World Series here in this 2034 season, the 9th year of the Buffalo Wings existence. And they will be facing off against the Toronto Blue Jays in the Great Lakes World Series. New York against Ontario. Buffalo headed to the World Series. Look at the box score from this clinching game. The 2-run home run by Medina was big. Also got a couple of ribbies from Seifu. Heiner, Bolig, and Collier and Gaglia also drove in runs for us today. Tovar suffers his second loss of the series, another rough game, allowing 10 hits and a walk over 4 innings pitched. Diaz was not good in relief when we really broke things open. Was not a vintage performance from Barajas, but he got the job done. And then Veliz, Varejo, Walborn, and Miller combined for 4 scoreless innings of relief to push our Buffalo Wings into the World Series. First time for this franchise, as we've talked about, in their 9th season in the majors, where they are going to be going to the World Series. Bobby Bolig, who had that huge hit for us in the top of the 9th to help win game number 5 for Buffalo and ensure that we went back to Buffalo with the lead, named the MVP of the National League Championship Series. And we will be starting in 3 days in Buffalo against Toronto. Just a preview of the series. Take a look at the standings, and Toronto at 97-65 was the American League East champions, tied for the 3rd best record in baseball with Seattle, behind only Kansas City, who they took out in the ALCS, and our 112-win Buffalo Wings team. So it has been a long journey here, but the Buffalo Wings are finally headed to the World Series, and we'll see what they can do in the World Series against these Blue Jays in our next episode. Until then, thanks so much for watching, and hope you have a great day.